So thank you for joining us for this second in a series of at least 3, I have a feeling we're going to have more, panel discussions on, I'm going to call this Finding Unity among Black expats from the diaspora, and we're talking with Rwandese people at this time with this series. I'd love to see this get duplicated in Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa. I'd love to see this idea take off. But for now, we're going to talk about how Rwandese people have experienced us as Black expats. The way the panel will unfold is that I have some questions that we'll use to start the discussion off with. And Mr. Goodson here is going to translate from English to Kinyarwanda and Kinyarwanda to English. So I've asked the panelists not to have long, drawn-out answers to things, keep it pithy, and so that we can keep the discussion moving. So with that, I'm going to ask each of the panelists, starting with Goodson, to introduce yourselves. You can say as much as your name as you feel comfortable with, and if you're an artist, you want to push that, promote yourself.
Hello, my name is Tangaza Goodson. I was born and raised in Rwanda. I'm a painter, I'm an artist, I'm a tattooist also, working here in Rwanda. I also do translation. So I'm here, I'm part of the panel as a translator right now, not an artist. So I'll be happy here. I'm enjoying already being part of the panel. So I'll be helping you with the translation. Actually, let me start right now. Anyway, nitwa Bitangaza Goodson, navukiye mu Rwanda, nkurira mu Rwanda, mu artiste ndashushanya, nkora painting, niwo mwuga wanjye, nkora na tatuage, no gupfumura amatwi, byo uriko kazi nkora mu Rwanda. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bruce.
Hi everyone, my name is Bruce, and what can I say? I'm a web developer. I'm also a poet, a mental health advocate, and a free thinker. I was born in Burundi, but I grew up in Rwanda. I've never left the country.
You've only lived here?
The only place I've went is Burundi, but I'm alone.
Bamwita Bruno.
Bruce.
Ni web developer, mu Kinyarwanda ntabwo nzi akora ibintu bijyanye n'ikoranabuhanga, yavukiye mu Rwanda, akorera mu Rwanda, ni umwanditsi, ni umusizi, akora ubusizi, hari ikindi ibyo ngibyo. Murakoze.
My names are Verawose, but I go by Bose, and I am a gender rights activist. I run a startup called Luna, which is revolutionizing safety and wellness for women by rating and reviewing service providers that are safe for them to use, and we are currently providing services in transport, and later on providing services in health. And I also have a nonprofit called I Matter, which is fighting to end period poverty, which is lack of access to menstrual products across the country. And we're currently learning our campaign called Flowbox, which I'm very glad that Ikawa Cafe, the place we're in right now, have joined the campaign. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Banyitabera bose ko bamwita Tabera bose ako ashinzwe guharanira uburinganire bw'igitsina n'igitsina gore mu Rwanda. Afite NGO hano mu Rwanda ishinzwe guharanira uburinganire bw'abakobwa n'abahungu hano mu Rwanda neza cyane. Ikindi akaba yaratangiye uburyo bwo kugira serivisi ku bantu buryo bworoshye kugira ngo ibyo murakoze.
Bravo. My name is Justin Goga. I'm an entrepreneur, a father, husband. Business-wise, I do intercultural training, Rwanda cultural awareness, orientation, and relocation services, kind of helping people to move into Rwanda and have a smooth transition to life in Rwanda. And with cultural intelligence, with Rwanda cultural awareness, I help people understand Rwandan culture to be able to relate with the Rwandans, integrate in Rwandan culture with less culture shock.
Bamwita Ngabo Boga ni businessman, umushoramari, afite imishinga, akora ibijyanye no gufasha abantu kumenya umuco wabo no gukangurira umuco wabo, gushimangira kumenya umuco wabo hano mu Rwanda, agakangurira abantu kugira ngo bakunde umuco wabo hano mu Rwanda.
Abanyamahanga baje gutura hano mu Rwanda kumva umuco w'Abanyarwanda kugira ngo babashe gukorana n'Abanyarwanda neza, ndetse bature mu Rwanda badafite bumva umuco neza, bamenya kubana n'Abanyarwanda, hanyuma babafasha no gutura hano mu buryo bworoshye.
So he helps people, foreigners coming to live here in Rwanda, to understand the culture of Rwanda and live here in Rwanda in his way to feel the hospitality to be in a better position. So that's it, thank you.
So nitwa Kibibi Caritas, the manager of Kawa.
Yeah, she's Kibibi Caritas, is the manager of Kawa Cafe.
Great, we're going to get right into it, and I like to be provocative. So the first question I have is, what did you learn about America while you were going there?
Ikibazo cya mbere afite umuyobozi wacu arimo aribaza ikintu twize kuri Amerika, turimo turakora ikintu twigaga kuri Amerika, tuzi kuri Amerika ni ikihe?
Anybody can go first.
For me, it would depend on the period. When I was in high school, I thought they had the best parties.
The best parties.
The best parties. And there was also the violence.
Biraterwa n'igihe we akiri muri secondaire yumvaga ko hari ibintu byiza, nyuma yumva ko hari no kurasana n'ubuzima bubi bijyanye no kubangamira abandi.
And where did you learn these things about America? School?
Mwigiye bino bintu bya Amerika mu bana, mu nshuti zanyu, mu barimu, twabigiraga
Movies,
muri filime,
Hollywood,
Media, friends.
TV shows.
So when you started meeting people, and I'm focusing on America because there are a lot of Black Americans. When you started meeting people from America, what did you expect?
kuko ahangaha kuko ari abanyamerika benshi, b'Abanyamerica bari hano, so ni iki tujya guhura n'abanyawe birabura b'Abanyamerika ni iki twafite kubona?
At first, because of the movies and stuff, I thought they had a better life, and we didn't share the struggles. And if I tried to talk to them, they wouldn't understand me. But I was surprised on how similar and common we are, because there was always that balance in lifestyle. You have a bigger salary, but then you have bigger expenses. So I was surprised by that similarity.
Mbere na mbere bagihura yarazi ko nyine bahura n'ubuzima bwiza, n'ibyo yari yavuze ko yarazi ko ari violence hariya, ariko bakimara kuvugana yamenye yuko kubera guhembwa amafaranga menshi ariko kuba muri ubwo buzima bigoye, ugasanga uhembwa menshi ariko nyine ubuzima bwabo burahenze. Ibyo byose yarabimenye nyuma yo guhura Abanyamerika amaze guhura nabo.
I think I would say that at first it's just this excitement of the unknown, and because so there's so much that we knew about America, right? But mostly I think for me the American dream has always been like, oh, this land, this magical land, or all of these things. And so my first interaction with actually my first African American was on the land, like moving back to America. And I think to keep it brief, it's just a huge transition from wanting to be there and then desperately now wanting to come back home. And so it was just like, yeah, take me back home.
So you were actually in America, and then you wanted to come back?
Yes.
After being there?
I've lived and worked in the US.
we bwa mbere na mbere n'ubundi yari afite nk'uko amashusho yo kubona nawe yumva ari byiza, ariko amaze kugera kuko bwa mbere wabona umunyamerika yahuriye nawe muri Amerika akabwiwe, ariko nyuma y'igihe we byarangiye ashaka kugaruka iwe mu Rwanda nyuma yo kumenya uburyo ubuzima bwabo bumeze baganira.
I think I want to add something that I wasn't expecting until I met my friends, Black Americans, and that was really something that shocked me. That how our relatives are always reminded that they're black. Every day it's like something in their head that they have to think about it, which is very different from us because we live in a black country. There's no single time that I have to think I'm black, because it's like the fish in the water. So the fish will never think, oh, I'm in the water, because they don't know anything else apart from water. So and I was really, really, shocked that I have to, keep thinking about like, oh, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black. Because of the dangers, of course, and all the things that you have to go through. So I think it's really nice. And I didn't know this until I met my Black American friends.
Ikintu cyamutangaje ahura n'umuhara Amerika bwa mbere mu bagombaga kwibuka ubwirwa bugiye ko ari abirabura nk'aho ari kimwe bagomba kubatekereza, kandi urumva twebwe turi mu gihugu cy'abirabura, ntabwo wajya uhora uvuga ati ndi umwirabura n'ubundi kubona abirabura, kandi we urumva nyine ntabwo wabura ifi ngo wibaze nimba wese ndi mu mazi n'ubundi uhora uri mu mazi, ni ibintu bitumvikana n'ubundi. So we ikintu yahoze yibaza nyine akimara guhura nabo ni gute umuntu ahora uvuga ati ndi umwirabura, nicyo kintu yahoraga yibaza bagihura nyine nicyo kintu.
nkihura n'abanyamerika na mbere numvaga bibagisha tubafata nk'abantu bafite ubundi bumenyi n'izindi mbaraga izindi mpano zirenze kuzabirabura. Bwa mbere ntangira gukorana nabo, nabwiye ababyeyi banjye ko ngiye gukorana n'abanyamerika. Ikintu cya mbere bumvise n'ubusha bwize ubuzima buhagaze, bumvaga ko ubuzima buhagaze. Nanjye uburyo nabatekerezaga numvaga nyine ari abantu bafite birenze ibyanjye, ariko twarakoranye nsanga ni abantu bafite imitekerereze nk'iyacu, imikorere nk'iyacu, imyumvire nk'iyacu, umutimanama wa kimuntu nk'iwacu, mbega nta hantu tutandukanye.
So the first time she saw a Black American, she thought it was a blessing. That's the first thing that came into her mind. It was a blessing, and because she thinks that she knows the truth that they were ahead of us. They have met, they have gone, they have lived in a more modernized world. So they are bringing more to us than we could give. So the first time she told her parents that she was working for America, they were like, oh, you're getting rich. But after living with them, she has learned that they think with the Black American think the same way we do things the same way we do things. And now she feels like we are friends, like the way she could talk to her friends the same way.
Do the rest of you, have you had that experience of feeling like Do both groups think similarly? Have you had that experience, or what are some of the different ways that you think?
So I've had many friends that are from not only America but even Europe, and even though I try to look at everyone the same, there's always that kind of voice inside that you feel excited and giddy, and you're like, oh, I just met this person, and it's like you're meeting an angel or something. But then you have like to take that time to process and to kind of like come to the ground because you are floating, to come on the same level as them and realize that we are all human beings at the end of the day. But still, it does, like the first impression is always like it's someone else. You know.
Agira inshuti nyinshi z'abanyamahanga, ajya agerageza kumva yuko bameze kimwe, bakumva nyine ntacyo twese tumeze kimwe, ariko n'ubundi aguma arakantu kamuza no kuvuga ati n'ubundi mfite inshuti nziza nyine nk'ari umwamarayika, ari umutandukanye nawe afite, ariko n'ubundi agerageza kwiyumvisha ko twese tungana nta kintu gitandukanye hagati yacu nabo.
How much do you all know about the struggle of Black Americans?
Ni iki mwaba muzi ku bijyanye no kugorwa kw'abirabura bo muri Amerika n'ibyo banyuramo mu buzima bugoye banyuramo?
And I'm talking about our history since being kidnapped from our home countries in West Africa, taken across the ocean under horrible, I guess I'm giving you history, taken across the ocean in horrible conditions, and then, you know, the slavery that we endured and all, you know. How much do you know about that?
Aravuga nyine ibijyanye n'ukuntu babashimuse bakabavana iwabo bakabajyana hirya gukora mu mirima y'abazungu. Ibyo aravuga ni iki twaba tuziho ku bijyanye n'ibyo bintu byabaye?
I'll start education-wise, right? So my education, what I was being taught in school obviously is I believe similarly to most of the African countries, because we were colonized by Europe. Most of our history classes is dominated by European culture. I used to joke with my friends of the fact that we used to learn so much about Napoleon, and we even forgot about our own African history, for instance, right? So imagine for people who learn less about our own culture, how could we even know about other Black people in other continents? So growing up, I didn't know anything actually. I couldn't even, I guess, imagine how a Black person ended up with an American context. I guess in my imagination it wasn't the question. And my first time learning more about American history, one was being there, because the moment, it's just this feeling, the moment you get there, the history, and like I think he mentioned it a little bit, one of the experiences is that you can actually feel the weight of what means being Black is, something that you can never experience on the African continent. So you have, it's almost like you're pushed into this space to learn about the history. Why does Black identity matter? What does this hold? So until I was around 17, that's when I started learning about African history from slavery and American history, and also in the context of what was happening then and what the people there have endured. And yeah, I would just keep it from there and let others.
Ikintu we amateka zinayo yize mu ishuri, yize nk'uko tuyize mu ishuri twiga amateka yo hanze cyane kurusha ayo muri Afrika. So kenshi yashakaga twashaka kuba nk'abantu Napoleon, nyine urumva amateka ya Napoleon, ariko ntabwo tugeze twita ku yita cyangwa twese muri rusange twita ku mateka ya Afrika, twitaga ku mateka y'abazungu kuko n'ubundi niyo mateka menshi batwigishaga. So urumva we yatangiye kugira ubushake bwo kumenya amateka y'abirabura uko ageze muri Amerika, ngo abone yuko akeneye kumenya uko hari abari umutwaro w'umwirabura, abari umutwaro wikoreye. So byamusabye yuko amenya aho bikomoka, birangira yize nyine nibwo yamenye amateka y'abirabura bari muri Amerika.
I think I want to say that personally, and I think that's the attitude we should have. We have very superficial, knowledge, like the slavery and what we see in the media. But since I haven't been to the US and I don't live the experience, I think I have a very humble attitude and I still want to learn more because it's a long history, like 400 years. That's a lot, and it still happens. And what happens yesterday and what's happening today still is also the history. And I have to admit that we know less, we Rwandans, and we should, I think, come with an attitude of like humility and try to understand more. And I wish that's what we could have even more conversation to actually learn more about your history and you share with us, and because I think that's really, really important.
We maravuga ko hano ibintu byinshi nyine tubona ibintu tuzi kuri Amerika n'ibyo tubona ku bitangazamakuru muri filime twese twabyemeranye yuko nk'abanyarwanda ntabwo tuzi neza amateka. We aracyakira amakuru yiteguye kwiga ku bintu atazi kuko nta mateka maremare imyaka 400 imyaka myinshi cyane ibyabaye no munsi mu gitondo ejo nabyo nta mateka urumva mu kwiga. So wari we yiteguye kimwe nk'abandi bose ko bagomba kwitegura kumenya amateka yacu.
So I want to do just a little exercise right now, if I may be granted that opportunity. I'm just going to list some African terms and people, historical figures. If you've heard of any of these terms or people, just raise your hand. You all too. Okay.
Tugiye gukora agiye gukina exercise tugiye kuvuga abantu bakoze ibintu cyangwa ine abantu bazwi nimba hari umwe muzi muri bo nyine uravuga ko muzi uzamura uko kunyuka ku muzi.
There won't be that many because I can't remember a whole lot. So I'll just start with Kush. Songhai Empire. Queen Nzinga. Steve Biko. Somebody else help me out.
This for the classroom.
Help me out.
Mandela.
Oh, come on.
Try hard.
Trying to go with things that people may not have heard of.
Mansa Musa.
So, the Massa, Mau Mau, Jomo Kenyatta, Patrice Lumumba. Okay. The point of that was to show how our history has been kept from us.
Impamvu y'ibyo yari ukugira ngo atwereke uburyo amateka yacu yahishwe tutashizwe hanze.
And those of us who are Black Americans, because a lot of Black Americans knew these terms and people, it's because we had to seek it out. We had to seek it out in order to learn.
N'abagenzi be baba bazi bo muri Amerika babirabura baba bazi amateka nuko bagerageje kuyashaka bakayamenya. Utaragerageje bivuze ko atabizi bo nababishatse.
So I'm going to switch topics here and get a little bit more controversial. Some Black Americans believe that the Chinese are guilty of neo-colonialism in Africa. Do you agree with that?
That's rubbish.
Abantu bakizera yuko ababirabura baba muri Amerika bizera yuko abashinwa aribo bari inyuma yo kuba tukiri mu koloni neocolonialism sinzi ko ariko mu koloni bushyashya bamwe barabyizera ariko mwebwe se murumva ari byo?
I think it's not only China. We should like just take out China because it's not kind of being aggressive in investing in Africa. And to me, I think that's Europe and I mean America kind of being jealous, I guess. But neo-colonialism, it's being done by Europe, the US, and everyone else. So I think we shouldn't sit here and talk, oh, it's Chinese neo-colonialism. It's up to us to, you know, stand and know our rights and know, like, you know, because it's really sad. Like, I always hear people saying Africa and Belgium. Come on, you know the size of Belgium is almost like Rwanda, and then they'll say Africa and Belgium. What's that? You know, come on. So let's not just talk about you know, China. Let's see the whole, you know, thing of like how, you know, we are becoming kind of a, I don't know how to put this, like a place where everyone wants to come and dominate. You know? It's not China, it's everyone. And let's not even spend time talking about China. It's a global problem, and we shouldn't blame people. You know, like, we should stand our ground and, you know, fight for our rights and try to be on the same table. Like, yes, we want to do business, we want to have good relations with other countries in the continent, but not them coming to exploit us. But not only China, everyone else.
We arumva ko Ubushinwa atari bwo bwonyine tukwiye kuvugaho bijyanye n'ubwo bukoloni bushya, ntabwo aribo tukwiye gushyiraho ibintu byose muri bo bari inyuma y'ubukoloni bushya, kuko n'ibindi bihugu byo muri Europe ahubwo byo byarafushe kuba Ubushinwa aribwo bugeze kure mu kugerageza gufata Afrika. Ntabwo twakwirengagiza nk'ukuntu bavuga ati Ububiligi na Afrika. Ububiligi ni igihugu kingana nk'u Rwanda, kuvuga rero Ububiligi na Afrika kandi Afrika ari ibihugu byinshi, ni ibintu bitumvikana. Rero ntabwo twavuga ngo Ubushinwa nicyo gihugu cyonyine cyangwa ko buri gushoramo imari cyane muri Afrika cyo gishaka kuzana ubukoloni bushya muri Afrika. Kandi ntabwo byatubuza gukorana ishoramari n'Abashinwa kugira ngo dutere imbere. Tuzakorana, ariko tugomba kumenya guharanira ibyo dukwiriye n'ubwigenge bwacu, tukamenya yuko duhagaze ibyo dushaka, ibyo dukwiye tubibona. Kugira ngo ibyo
So when it comes to that, I personally have a very controversial, I may say, or even differential opinion. Whenever I think of things like that, I always try to look at things in a more objective and logical, removing the emotion from it. And what you may call neo-colonialism, for me, I just look at it as a business as usual. Humans have always been doing things in their best interest. To be more precise, in the interest of their tribes. So the one who had power didn't mind taking advantage of the other one who didn't have power. That was not a white thing, that was not a black thing, that was a human thing. Because we are very possessive and dominative as a species. So when Chinese people are looking for ways to develop their country, they are not above taking advantage of other countries that are either less educated or more gullible. And they will give them what they need so that they can have a grip on them. But like he said, it's not only them. Any country, any tribe, any society that has an advantage, a specific advantage over the other one, will use it to have a hold on each other. So, you know that instead of looking at it as a neo-colonialism, we have to look at it as a form of greed, a human greed, not a specific racial or gender greed, but a human greed that we have to work on it. there's a lot of things we have worked on that we are proud of, but that is something also we have to kind of like analyze and try to improve, because we are still selfish, we are still careless, we are still doing all those things the people we hate have done, but we're not trying to do any better.
iyo bigeze kuri icyo kiganiro abafite ibitekerezo bitandukanye cyane, kuko we ntabwo yumva yuko ari ikijyanye n'ubukoloni gusa, ahubwo abantu kuva kera dukunda kuba hejuru y'umuntu, buri muntu wese ashaka kujya hejuru y'undi kuko afite ubushake kurusha. Ntabwo yumva ko ari ikibazo kijyanye n'ubukoloni gusa, kuba Ubushinwa bushaka bwa bwashaka gukora ubukoloni bushya kuri Afurika, nuko bo bumva yuko ni ibintu bisanzwe mu kiremwamuntu, kumva yuko nimba umuntu umurusha imbaraga ugomba kumujya hejuru, we inyungu zabo urumva we ni ikintu kijyanye no kuba uruta umuntu ubushobozi, ugashaka gukoresha ubushobozi bwe bukeya kugira ngo wongere ubushobozi bwawe bumwe buba bwinshi cyane,
kwishyira imbere y'abandi.
So you touched on tribalism, and one of the things that I really love about Rwanda is that, in fact, I did a little report, I haven't published it yet. So like, there are no more Hutu, no more Twa, and no more Tutsi. You only have Rwandese. And is that not the way it should be?
Waravuze ku kintu cy'ubwoko, we ikintu yumvisha ku Rwanda nuko mu Rwanda takiriho Ubuhutu, Abatutsi n'Abatwa, ari Abanyarwanda gusa, siko bimeze?
Yego niko bimeze. Mbere hari hariho ivangura ry'amoko, ahubwo twese turi Abanyarwanda. Nta moko, nta Muhutu, nta Mutwa, nta Mututsi, twese turi Abanyarwanda kimwe.
Yes, yeah, she says yes, that's how it is. We used to have different tribes in Rwanda. People are called different names, Hutu, Tutsi, Twa. So right now we are all Rwandese, one country. No more Hutu, Tutsi, or Twa people here.
Do you all like that?
Yeah.
He was like,
So for me, I've always seen myself as a human being. Like first and foremost, I may be born here, I may be born on this continent, on this planet, but I didn't have any choice in all of that. The one thing that I am that I can never change is I'm a human being, and the planet is full of other human beings that comes in different shades, like the colors of the rainbow. But it shouldn't be something that divides us. It should be something that unites us. It means there is something I can bring to the table that someone else cannot bring to the table. As for where I consider my home is as far as I can travel. If at any point we can go on Jupiter, even Jupiter would be considered as my home. You know, because by birth we are limitless, but we are always trying to put blocks and boxes around ourselves, trying to limit what we can do or how far we can reach and where we can go. So the things that were supposed to unite us, which are the tribes and societies, they were supposed to unite us, but then in the end, it ended up being that thing that divides us. Because then we are allocating ourselves in a specific area, and we see those people as no longer human like us, but as something else. So what we did here in Rwanda, removing the Hutu, Tutsis, and all those discrimination and division, it's what I think all as human beings we should strive to do. Trying to look at each other as one big family, no matter of our differences.
we kuva kera ahora yumva we nkaho ari umuntu, ntabwo ajya atekereza se kuba yaravukiye mu Rwanda ntabwo ari amahitamo yiwe, kuba yaravukiye n'ahandi, ariko we icyambere nuko aba yumva we ari umuntu. Ntabwo niyo wamujyana ku wundi mubumbe ukamujyana Yupiteri, we yaba yakumva ngo akaba ari we yaravukiye nyine yamenye, we yakumva ari umuntu n'ubundi. Icy'ingenzi ni ukuba urumva ku isi hari abantu batandukanye, abantu barahora baza nk'amabara y'umukororombya, so urumva we ntabwo ugiye kujya muri ibyo, abantu twita ku bintu bidutandukanye, aho kugira ngo turebe ku biduhuje. Urumva kuba abantu dutandukanye nibyo byagakwiye kuba buri wese niba ari kuzana ikintu gitandukanye n'undi ku meza kiri muri make, buri wese ni ubudasa. Urumva buri wese niba azanye iki ngicyo ayashoboye adashoboyeho uwo ukaba ugishoboye, nibyo byagakwiye kuba biduhuza, ntabwo ari byo byagakwiye kuba bidutandukanye. U Rwanda rero rwafashe umwanzuro rukuraho ibintu by'amoko, dukuraho ibidutandukanye, tureba ibyo buri wese yatanga bikavamo umusaruro.
One people.
I'd like to ask Rwandese something. I think that deliberate elimination of tribalism is one of the greatest strengths of Rwanda. What are some other strengths of Rwanda?
Agira ngo abaze umwe mu bo turi kumwe ko u Rwanda ikintu ruzwiho cyane ni uko rwararetse ibintu by'amacakubiri. Ni ikihe kintu kindi cyaba kizwi mu Rwanda numva ku Rwanda?
byinshi ntabwo igitabo kuri ibyo kuko u Rwanda buri wese arabizi ko u Rwanda rwakoze ibikomeye n'ibindi bihugu bigerageza kwigira ku Rwanda ibyo rukora, harimo nko gushyiraho umutekano hamwe, gushyiraho uburinganire bw'abagore, kuzamura igitsina gore. Like examples zanjye zirimo ibintu izo ngizo baba barazamuye igitsina gore bagashyiraho umutekano.
She's saying that it's allowed, apart from removing discrimination and tribalism, there is a lot that Rwanda has done and should be known for. Apart from that, it's a lot that she would even write a book about it. So there is, in her point of view, there's a lot, but she just pointed two of them. And those two, of course, include so many other things. There's gender equality and security. Yeah, that's what she said.
Can I add something, please?
I'm going to hear from the one, if you don't mind.
What Rwanda has done.
We're going to center women on this question because we're talking about gender equality, and I know that's something we're very much proponent of.
I mean, I think she's right. I mean, on top of that, our experience as Rwandan women is very different from many of African women experiences, right? I like not to romanticize about it and say, you know, it's all rainbows, because it isn't. But and I wanted to say something about it regarding the unity about Rwandans, because politics and like having objective programs is one thing, right? And this is, we always have to remove the idea of romanticizing things, right? So Rwanda has done a lot of things in terms of unifying the nation, promoting gender equality, but it doesn't mean that's where we are. Because facts is, like when you talk about genocide ideology, you cannot move out of a nation until 5 generations, right? So how many generations do we have of Rwandan so far, right? I'm a first generation in my family, so which means I identify as a Rwandan. I don't identify as anything else, but that's probably not the conversations we have at home or with our grandparents. But it's a first step into, you know, getting better. And that's the thing that people need to understand. Even when we talk about race, you know, a lot of what we talk about racism is because a lot of countries haven't taken the necessary step to change the system and the structures. It seems to be getting worse. But yeah, in addition to Rwanda, obviously it's one of the greenest, safest, promoting gender equality. We have more women in the parliament. There's numbers. There's a term I like to use, but that it's vulgar, so I don't want to use it. We have more numbers of women. But yeah, what I celebrate about Rwanda is not this pinpoints of like we have this, we have that. It's like it's a country that is trying, right? So we have a politics and leadership that cares about change, So we're in the process of changing, which is, even most of developing countries, they're not trying. So that's what Rwanda, I feel like it has special. It's a country with its people that are trying to change.
Atangira avuga ko ibyo mugenzi we yavuze ari byo bijyanye n'uburinganire bw'igitsina gabo n'igitsina gore, ariko ntabwo wavuga ati ntabwo warenzaho uvuga ati ko ari umuntu nta munabi nta bintu byose byagiye 100%. Terima akoresheje ntabwo nayishyira direct mu Kinyarwanda, ariko nibyo yashatse kuvuga. Ntabwo waburamo ibintu umunaniza, ibintu bituma ibintu bitagira 100%. Kimwe nuko iyo urebye ingengabitekerezo urumva ntabwo igihugu cyahita gihinduka 100% ngo igihugu cyose ingengabitekerezo irekeraho. We urumva generation ya gatanu wenda nibwo ibintu byaba byarahindutse, ikinyejana cya gatanu nibwo ibintu byaba byarahindutse, ariko ubu ngubu urumva nawe nta binyejana binga biranyuraho jenoside yaba, we n'ikinyejana cya mbere iwabo nyuma jenoside. Urumva we arabizi neza ko ari umunyarwanda, ariko ntabwo bikuraho yuko iwacu mu ngo abacecuru bacu hatabura umuvuga ngo zisebura, ntabwo bibura. Ariko u Rwanda icyo yavuga ku Rwanda ni igihugu cyiza gifite umutekano, ibiti, imisozi, ariko nanone we aravuga yuko icyiza cya mbere ari uko bagerageza, bari mu buryo bwo gukoramo ibintu, ntabwo ari ngo babigezeho, ni uko bagerageje kubikora biruta. Mu Rwanda niho hantu heza ho kuba umugore ugereranyije n'ibindi bihugu bituranye nabyo, ariko ntabwo bivuze yuko ari 100%. We rero arabashimira yuko aranavuga yuko u Rwanda ari ukugerageza, ari ukuba rwaratangira urugendo biruta ahandi bataratangira urugendo.
Briefly, Justin and Bruce, the same question, which I forgot what it was. But could you include just 1 or 2 sentences about how men are accepting gender equity in Rwanda?
Before I go to that, I will answer your question, which was like other trends, apart from removing the tribalism. Yeah, there's another important, which is more like a cultural value that our president loves to push forward, which is agaciro. And agaciro is like, the concept is like, we understand our problems more than anyone else. We understand our people and we care about our people more than anyone else. We understand that the context, the history. We know what it means to be hungry. We know what it means to suffer, and no one's going to bring solutions. So we have, all the solutions, and that's why we use our own homegrown solutions. After the genocide, there were millions, about 2 million people who had to go through the court system. It wasn't possible. So we went back to our traditional history. We got something called gachacha, because we understand our culture, we understand our context, we understand our problems. We know what works in our country and with our people. And then we used gachacha as a solution. Other people were like, but it worked. So that is really, really, really a powerful tool that we've got, a gift that we've got, agaciro. And that's why we're now the government's let's not focus more on the aids and foreign aids. The stand-up work. That's why we have a lot of entrepreneurs growing. It's because of that attitude of agaciro. And it's really, really important. To me, I see it as the foundation of everything that we're doing in Rwanda. Agaciro. Thank you.
There's ikintu yavuze bari bibagiwe ko yagiye kongera ku bintu mu Rwanda. U Rwanda ruzwiho usibye kuba bararwanyije ibintu by'amacakubiri n'ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside. Ikindi ni ikintu kijyanye n'agaciro. U Rwanda rwatangiye uburyo bwo kumvisha abanyarwanda yuko ari twe tuzi ibibazo byacu, ari natwe tuzabyikemura, natwe tuzi uburyo bwo kubikemura. Ntabwo ari mpaka yuko dutegereza umuntu uvuye hanze ngo atubwire ngo ibibazo byacu ni ibi n'uko nabikemura n'uko. Nyuma ya jenoside leta y'u Rwanda yazanye yari ifite ibibazo byinshi cyane, izana uburyo byakemurwagamo imbere yabo bagiye mu mateka, bazana uburyo ibibazo byakemurwaga mu Rwanda, ubwo buryo bakoresheje nyuma ya jenoside, kuko hari abantu barenga miliyoni bagombaga kujya mu rukiko. Niyo mpamvu bazanye gacaca inkiko z'icyo gihe mu Rwanda zari zarapfuye, kuko n'ubundi nyuma ya jenoside ibintu byari gutangira mu bushya. Nicyo arimo aravuga rero, ikintu cy'agaciro. U Rwanda, umuyobozi wacu His Excellency ahora aharanira yuko ari twe tumenya, twiha agaciro, twese twebwe dufite ibibazo byacu, ntabwo ari mpaka dutegereza inkunga ivuye hanze. Niyo mpamvu dufite urubyiruko cyangwa abantu benshi bari gutangira imishinga mu Rwanda, kuko ni twebwe tugomba kumenya ibibazo byacu tukanabikemura.
It is undeniable that Rwanda has done a lot in 20 years that no country has not been able to do in 100 years. I'm 28, which means I have the same. I was born during the genocide, but I was not born here, luckily. But the benefit of that is I have seen Rwanda growing with me at the same time. I was there when our president was elected in 2003. I even remember us seeing the flag changing because there was another flag. I was there when they started building Macadamian roads. I was there when, basically, behind every milestone I was looking, and looking back, everything was changing as I was growing. The country was growing the same way as I was growing. It was learning, it was making mistakes, and there are things most people who are from outside see as a problem, but me personally I don't see it as a problem. I'm talking about the freedom of speech when it comes to political stuff. And for me personally, I believe that limiting the freedom of speech of people who have less education, who are from a bad place and are looking for revenge, taking some of that freedom away is not such a bad thing. You know, you can take an example with, for example, like South Africa. You know, when Mandela was on, but then they didn't force people to do anything. He just told people to accept each other. For us, we are forced to accept each other, and there's this thing they say, fake it until we make it. You know, basically from the beginning we faked it until we made it. We are not yet there. I know people who still uses those names, those names we don't want to mention. They still say Hutu, they still say Tutsi, but they don't shout it loud. They don't get that voice to the point where they can influence others to do something or to repeat history. So I'm proud of how far we have gone. We are progressive, we have changed our minds on many things, and we have grown with the world. And this country has grown with me, and I'm proud of that very much.
Nawapanga yuko u Rwanda rwatembeye mu gihe gito kitari kinini. We yavutse jenoside iri kuba, agira Imana ntiyavukira mu Rwanda. We yakuranye n'u Rwanda, yari ahari igihe idarapo ry'u Rwanda arabirebaga arabyibuka, igihe idarapo ry'u Rwanda ryahindukaga. Ni make yakuranye n'u Rwanda, barakuranye. Mu Rwanda hari ibintu nyine yarimo aravuga uburyo barahari babivuga bihishe, ibintu bijyanye n'amacakubiri, kuvuga amagambo adashaka kuvuga Abahutu, Tutsi, ariko
nyine hari abantu babivuga muri bwihishwe, ariko ntabwo babona imbaraga zituma babishyira hejuru ku buryo banakemfuransa abandi bantu nyine. So iyo nuze uko gukuraho ubwisanzure mu kuvuga ibyo ushatse byose, even though abantu bavuye hanze ushobora kubona nta ari ikintu kibi, cyari ikintu cyiza kubera ko cyari iyo kitaba gihari ntabwo okay, to add something, I went to Burundi. Burundi we share a kind of similar history but for them they didn't go through that. And for the first time people were studying, I heard people calling each other those names, like, look at that Hutu, look at that Tutsi, you know? And it's very, like, it's no one filters when it comes to that. And for me, I'm glad to the point, I'm glad because the people that are born now can't even tell the difference. That's how beautiful it is, you know? But it wouldn't have been there if people would have been allowed to keep saying it.
yaravuze ibijyanye no kuba batuvugaho abanyamahanga bavuga mu Rwanda ntabwo hari ubwisanzure mu kuvuga we nk'uko abivuga arabona ko ari ibintu byari bikwiye ku gihugu kivuga abantu badasobanura, hari abantu batize badasobanukirwa uburyo ibintu bikorwa, hari n'abantu bashaka kwihorera. Uburyo bwonyine bwari kubikoramo ni ukugabanya ubwisanzure mu kuvuga, nk'uko ubona mu gihugu cy'abaturanyi cyo mu majyepfo South Africa uko bimeze. Mandela akimara kuza ku butegetsi ko atashize ingamba ziwe ngo bigire itegeko, yaravugaga ngo mubigenze gutya, ntabwo ibintu byahindutse nk'uko byagomba kuba bimeze. Ariko twebwe kuko twabwiwe ku ngufu ibintu turabyumva, nubwo byaje ari ku ngufu, ariko kuko muri gukora ikintu urakimenyera, uragerageza, ariko nyine bikujyamo ku ngufu bikakujyamo. Cyari igihe cyiza cyo kuba buri muntu wese utatanga uburenganzira bwo kuvuga, uko ni ibintu byadufashije cyane, kuko ubu ngubu urumva kuvuga ijambo Umuhutu n'Umututsi wisanzuye, ntabwo bize ko hatari ababivuga barabivuga bihisha, ariko ntabwo bahabwa umwanya yo kugira ngo abandi nabo batangire babivuga bihisha. Ariko urumva ari ukubivuga, yagiye mu gihugu cy'abaturanyi cy'i Burundi, asanga abantu bavuga ngo wamutuwe wamututsi, urumva ntabwo bihisha, ni ibintu bisanzwe. Ariko twebwe aha ngaha n'umwana uri kuvuga biratangaje, umwana uri kuvuga atashobora no kubona itandukaniro y'ibyo bintu, ni ibintu byiza cyane.
So I'm going to just ask the final question because it's getting late. And the final question is, do any of you have a final statement? Something that you wanted to say tonight but you didn't get a chance to, but please make it short.
Ikibazo cya mbere agiye kubaza, ariko nimba ntawani kugira ngo batagira undi ijambo, nimba ari umuntu ufite icyo kuvuga gito cyane yavuga kugira ngo
For me, my message is, at the end of the day, we are all one. We have, I don't know what you believe in, but if you believe in science, we have all changed because of evolution. But at the beginning, we are all from one tree, one root, and you shouldn't limit your experience with other people because they look different or they sound different. Try to take your biases aside and give someone a chance to show you who they are deep inside, and it might be surprising with what you find.
We ikintu yavuga ni uko twese turi bamwe, dukomoka ahantu hamwe. Niyo waba wizera muri ikoranabuhanga cyangwa siyanse, twese dukomoka hamwe muri evolution, twese dukomoka ku kintu kimwe. Urumva twese turi bamwe, nicyo kintu dukwiye kwitaho cy'ingenzi.
So many things, but I guess the thing that comes to mind, that comes at the top, is taking from the Rwandan model of learning from our historical rituals, I would say. I think we can people learn a lot when we're being challenged, when we are critically looking at something much deeper. And I just hope this Afro Conversation series continues to dig deeper into a history, experience, context, so we can learn more, you know. I think there's the general truth that we know, but there's history matters, context matters, and for me, I just advocate for more of via conversations, you know. There's a lot of growth in that.
ni byinshi cyane yavuga kijyanye no kwigira mu mateka yacu byinshi urumva we yumvaga yuko bino biganiro byakomeza kandi iyo umuntu ahura n'ibibazo nibwo yiga umuntu yigira mu bibazo cyane tugakomeza tukareba amateka yacu tukiga tukaganira tukagira ibiganiro atari ibiganiro twese turi kuvuga ku bintu bimwe tukaganira buri wese agatanga ibitekerezo bimwe twese nibwo umuntu yiga byoroshye atari ukuvuga ngo yahagashye nanjye kuvuga mu biganiro cyane turimo gukora ibiganiro byaguma.
I think I want to encourage cultural humility, and with this, we Rwandans, let's not assume that we understand fully, the Black American Christian culture. And I also want to encourage, Black American, friends to don't just assume, you know everything. There's a lot of, unspoken, non-observable, cultural, traits and elements that you don't understand. And with this cultural humility, that's how you grow. Be curious to learn, and I think I would want to see more sessions that really encourages mutual understanding, focusing on cultures. Yes, we have a lot in common, but let's not get to the point where we just ignore the differences.
Reka tureke kugira ngo nk'abanyafurika tugere ngo tuzi ibintu cyangwa mu byose turabizi hari byinshi byo kwiga dukeneye kumenya umuco ku mateka dukomeze dushake tumenye muri rusange ibintu ntabwo twigere nk'aho twamaze kumenya byararangiye hari byinshi tutazi.
ubwanjye ndashaka gushimira aba experts kuko bagerageza kutuba hafi bashaka kumenya umuco wacu especially ururimi cyane bakitinda kubakoresha kuko nibo duhura kenshi ubona bafite amatsiko yo kumenya uko tubayeho uko tuvuga uko tugenda bashaka kutiga ibyo rero bizadufasha kugira ngo tube ibi.
On her side, she would like to thank Black expats, especially the ones she works with. They try to learn the language and the way they look like they want to learn much about us, so it will help us unite and work together easily.
Do you want to say something?
Yes, of course. I've been speaking for others.
Yes.
Let your voice be heard.
Yes.
So I like what she said about Rwanda being in progress. So people when you don't think about progress, you start judging on things as if they are over, like it's all we had to be. So I think every time we talk about Rwanda, we should not say Rwanda has achieved this. We should talk about Rwanda trying to achieve this. So because when you say that you have achieved this, there's another one coming to take an opposition side because he has a lot to do over you because you already say that you have achieved it, but nothing has already been achieved here 100%. So I like what she said. That's it. I liked that a lot because I've been trying to tell people every time, stop saying that because you're going to make your opposition have much to use against you. So that's it.
Okay, so now you can translate for yourself. That's a first.
Okay, ndashimira icyo mugenzi wanjye yavuze ku kijyanye no kuba tukiri kugerageza kugera ku bintu kuko iyo uvuze ngo wageze ku bintu biroroshye yuko njye naza nkakubwira ati ntabwo biragerwaho haracyagura utuntu ntabwo akakosa gatoya mubonaho bigaho umwanzi wawe intwaro yo gutuma wowe ucika intege mu iterambere uri gukora kuko iyo uhora wumva ubwo navuze mu Kinyarwanda kambivuge mu buryo bwiza kugira ngo babyumve hanya nk'umwanditsi ushushanya iyo ntahuraga n'umuntu umbwira ati kubikora kugerageza ariko nkaza nkabona undi umbwira ati warabigezeho ariko nkabona n'undi umbwira ati wapi urumva wa undi umbwiraga ati ndi kubigeraho niyo waza ukambwira ati ntabwo ndi kubona ubikora neza kuko nzi ko ndi kugerageza kumenya ntabwo mba numva ndi umunyeshuri. So nicyo cyiza kuba wumva ushaka kugera ku kintu aho kugira ngo ube wakigezeho.
Well, once again, I want to thank the panel for being here and for sharing your stories and your wisdom, your experience. And please let us recognize our hosts at the Kawa Cafe, Adira and Mohammed, and their fabulous staff.
Nobody mentioned like any frustrations or any negativity. It was all okay. It's all good, you know. We met the Black Americans. We got to know them, but everything it was all good. Like, and yet the question was, what do you think about the Black Americans?
Yes.
What was your experience with the Black Americans?
Ikibazo yarabashije arangora tuzi nk'abanyarwanda ari igihe tutapfa kuvuga ibintu turimo niko twese abanyarwanda ko tumeze upfa kuvuga ikikurimo kubera impamvu zitandukanye. Yabonye dusubiza ibibazo byinshi nk'ikijyanye n'ukuntu twebwe dufata abirabura bo muri Amerika. Twese twavuga ibintu byiza gusa ariko ntabwo tugiye tuvuga ibibi. Yarimo aribaza ese nuko bidahari cyangwa birahari nuko bwa bunyarwanda bwacu bwo kuvuga ati ugomba kumenya aho uri ukamenya n'ibyo uvuga ese nuko biri.
When I was here, I didn't hold back anything, either because I didn't think it was appropriate or because you said it. All I said because I thought that's what I need to say and that's correct. And I wouldn't be sitting, there's no situation where I would sit here and judge a whole, community. That's very wrong. Like, we people are, of course, there will be some shared values, but people are different. And that's where I said cultural humility is very important. Even if something doesn't sound well to your ears, give it, ruminate. Yes, and because while you're listening using your cultural filters,
Right.
and your cultural filters can sometimes mislead you. And that's what I meant with cultural humility. So, and that's why I say, let's not forget that we're different.
Yeah.
And the differences sometimes is not beautiful. Like sometimes I will behave in a way that can look to you as rude, but in my culture it's not rude. For example, being late. I always hear people say, "Oh, you're late, you're rude." No, I'm not being rude if I'm late. It depends on what you call me. Okay, sorry. We can have this conversation, but we didn't hold anything back, and there was not even any intention of judging Rwandans and Americans.
I have met people from America, even other places where I didn't agree with them. Number one, because I didn't pass through what they passed through. That's also there's this thing which is like the victim mentality, which is not always a bad thing, but it's more of a descriptive word that describes that this person has beaten me many times, and even though his children are good, it's going to be hard for me to see that because I'm still inflicted by that, But so usually when I look at things in my mind, I'm always looking at them in that spectrum that is unbiased and that is unemotional and that is logical. I try to look at things from outside of the box, and because of that, it kind of gets me in trouble with people who look at things from either an emotional or a more experienced kind of point of view, which doesn't mean that I'm right or they are right or I am wrong or they are wrong. It's just that I think sometimes we have to kind of calm down, sit with your enemy, try to talk, not specifically the enemy, but the person you think is the enemy. You sit with them and you give them a chance to show you who they are as an individual. Because sometimes you are surprised. You are surprised to find that they are not as bad as you thought they were. And sometimes you also find that they're even worse than you think they were, you know? But always that unbiased, kind of like unbiased criticism has to be there in order for you to give everyone a chance. Because one of the problems we have faced in this world, which is like racism, was being treated differently. But then as the victim, we find ourselves treating those people we call the perpetrator differently. Basically, we are perpetrating what has been done to us. Not that it's uncalled for, but yet, as people who are trying to look for the solution, I think it's always good to kind of like take ourselves from the situation and try to give everyone a chance to speak and to show you who they truly are.
One of my questions to the panel would be, how do you honestly feel about the influx of the diasporan Africans coming to your country? Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that I kind of agree with him, because we don't talk about what our feelings are as far as who we are to you. We come and say, we're your brothers and your sisters. You don't necessarily feel that way, all right? And that's okay, all right? But we still have to have that understanding, coming to a higher level of consciousness of who it is that we are. And it's not just, as people like to call us, Black Americans that are coming into Africa. We have Africans coming from the Caribbean, from South America, from everywhere. So when people say the African American, are you just talking about those of us who are coming from America, or are you including the entire diaspora? Because here in Rwanda, we are coming from various parts of the globe. And we need to have that kind of understanding about who we are and the fact that we're not just a dollar bill relates.
First of all, I want to be clear that not everyone, they don't treat you differently from other people from other African countries here in Rwanda. Because I've worked in a restaurant for 2 years, I was a waiter. So every time we wanted to get tips from clients, so we would be able to figure out which client is able to give you tips more than the other client. So every time we would have...
Tell me how you do that.
It's an experience. So yeah, so I remember so many times we tripped on people thinking that they are from Africa, and we find they are Black Americans, African Americans living in America, coming to just pay a visit in Rwanda. So I remember I used to get most of the tips because I remember I was new at the restaurant, and they used to give me tables where Africans are sitting, thinking that they don't give tips, and they used to give where the Europeans are sitting to people who have been working there for a long time because they think they're going to give more tips. And I remember I was sitting, they gave me a table, and I found out that those people were Africans but Americans. So I was lucky because they gave me a good tip. So I remember from that situation, and also from my experience with my daddy and mentor David, we go to places and people are like, is he from Qatar? Like, you know, people just think that they doesn't necessarily think that even when I go to the market, I don't speak English. Yet I'm from Rwanda. Because someone may think that I'm not aware of the prices here.
Right.
It's the case of you being aware of the prices and how you react to it. Because I could be Rwandan and I've been raised to another country and I don't know Kinyarwanda. So the case, I think it's all about how you feel where you are. Otherwise, you could be my mother and you don't know Kinyarwanda, because most people fled away in genocide and went away to another country. So what matters is how you feel in this country, because you're going to meet so many people calling you Mzungus. Many people have called my brother. My brother is brown skin, so it's too brown more than me, and they have called him Mzungu at one point because he was speaking fluent English, and we're laughing all the time. So that's it. I want to be clear that it's not about you coming from America. It's all about people. Price discrimination is something I have to make more money because someone is not aware of the price. So that's it. I want you to feel comfortable, because people are going to call you that so many times until you start knowing that. If you told them I'm Rwandese, and you tell them that in English, and tell them the price is this, who is going to come and play with? Just like my mentor and daddy, no one ever tries to charge higher prices on him, and he does it very well. He tries to, now they know that he can never pay any higher prices for anything. Everywhere we go, they know they are aware of him. And some people think that he's from Qatar. So.
Okay, one final question and then we gotta stop.
What is your vision for Rwanda in the next 20 years? What would you like to see 20 years on? What would you like to see in Rwanda?
Good question.
That's a great question. Who would like to answer?
In that utopian world that you are talking about, I would love to see everyone educated and independent, because independence comes before everything else. And I would like people to speak their mind while at the same time respecting other people's minds, because the freedom comes from acknowledging your own freedom, but also acknowledging other people's freedom. So those are the two things I would want: knowledge and freedom.
Ikibazo yarabajije abari hano nuko niki baba babona u Rwanda, baba babona u Rwanda rugeze muri mu myaka 20, mu myaka 20 nihe baba babona u Rwanda rugeze. Uwa mbere arasubije ati icyambere ni kuba hari ubwenge, amashuri, ni no kuba wese yigenga, nicyo kintu cyambere, kuko n'ubundi ibyo bintu by'ingenzi kuba buri wese ashoboye kuba yasoma akanandika, nicyo kintu cy'ingenzi, niko we nicyo kintu yifuza kubona.
I would say in 20 years, actually that's a lot of years. So I would say in that case, I will also go bigger. I just want to see a borderless Africa. Not just because we are moving from the stage where we have to remove these colonial boundaries of being Rwandan and just be Pan-African, but in the context of also being a woman, women and lead at the front line, and that's what I hope, and that's something I actually believe that we can do. So it's gonna happen.
we arabona imyaka 20 ari myinshi cyane, noneho we igitekerezo cyo byo yifuza birabari binini nabyo. Icyambere yifuza kuba dufite Afrika itagira imipaka yazanywe n'abazungu bavuga ati ngo umunyarwanda umumana umugande imipaka itariho, kandi nanone nko kuba umugore muri Afrika bikarushaho kuba byiza umva yuko umeze abandi bantu. Icyo bintu by'ingenzi yifuza kubona mu myaka 20.
I have to admit that I didn't think about that, but that's a great vision. And in that vision, and me being selfish, I would want to see Rwanda being the capital of that United Africa, and that where like all big headquarters are, because it's going to be a safe place with tech facilities and where everyone wants to come and put their money because it's a safe environment. And I want, because we're pushing for good education, I would want to see Rwanda exporting talents in other African countries and Europe and America, and yeah.
Avugisha ukuri ntabwo yari yatekereje ku kintu umugenzi we yavuze, ariko aboneyeho reka arushaho kwikunda, avuga yuko binaba ko Afrika itagira imipaka, reka u Rwanda ruzabe umujyi mukuru wa Afrika, niko we abyifuza. Nanone we ku giti cye ntabwo nibyo
navuze ko nifuza kubona ari kapitali ya Afrika, hanyuma akaba ari ahantu kubera ko hari umutekano, abantu bose bifuza kuza kubika amafaranga yabo, ndetse amabanki n'ibigo bikomeye bikaza ahangaha, tukaba dufite n'abantu ba talent, abantu
Savant.
b'abanyabwenge bajya gukora ahandi tukajya nko akantu nka exportive twakora y'abantu bajya gukora ahandi. The last thing that I didn't say, but we want to be like a tourist, destination. We have galeras, like we want everyone, like we want to be like a go-to place. If you think about tourism to Rwanda.
Ikindi kintu atari yavuze ashaka nuko u Rwanda rwaba ahantu buri wese atekereza iyo ashaka gutembera, akaba ari ahantu ugitekereza gutembera ukavuga ati kubera n'ingagi dufite, ibintu byiza dufite, imisozi, akaba ariho hantu watekereza kuruhukira.
Yanjye u Rwanda nifuza ni u Rwanda rw'abantu bakize ibikomere twagize, batagifite kasinga, batagifite batagifite nyine bya bikomere tutagitoneka, nibwo Rwanda nifuza.
So the Rwanda she wishes for is a Rwanda where everybody has healed from their pain, the past pain we have.
Oh, bravo, bravo.
He went for me and I kept just waiting.